We've all been here. Spills, messes, dirt, debris, it's all something we deal with on a nearly daily basis. But luckily, these days, there are better ways to deal with those messes. Instead of you getting down there, scrubbing and cleaning, you can just let this do it for you. This is the Yeedi S20 Infinity. Now, I've talked about a bunch of Yeedi robot vacuum and mop systems here on the channel before. They make some of the best in the industry. And so when they reached out and wanted to sponsor this video and send over their latest version, well, I wanted to see what they had to offer. Now, with every single one of these products, there's a bunch of them on the market from many different brands. Each time a new one comes out, there's that one feature that is an industry first, the one that says, hey, this is why you should buy this one. And Yeedi's is a bit different. This is an all-in-one system, so it's a robot that has a vacuum and mop built in, and then there's a base station as well for handling all the mess when it's done. And so that is really nothing too new. That is pretty standard, but it does all of this at top class. Now, when going through the list of all the features that the S20 has, it's like a play-by-play of the best in the industry. But there is one that is new that I hadn't seen before, and in fact, it's an industry first. Each year, these companies are trying to make these robots better and better, smarter, more efficient, better at cleaning, and well, that means there are more and more features packed into them. Better suction, better mopping, better scrubbing, better navigation with LiDAR and other sensors. All of this, though, requires power. And that's one of the main things Yeedi set out to tackle with this product. Depending on the size of your house or wherever you're using this to clean, it may end up needing multiple cycles to actually get the job done. If you have multiple thousand square feet, for example, the battery that's built into these robots, well, typically can't actually handle that much square footage, especially if you're trying to do really good suction and mopping. But where the S20 Infinity stands out is with its advanced PowerBoost charging technology. This takes the charging technology that you're used to in like your phone, tablet, computers, or even things like an EV and brings them to the robot vacuum world. And there's a few reasons why this is important. Like I said, these days there is a ton packed into these robots. And well, there's only so much you can do with that amount of space, especially when it comes to both vacuuming and mopping. And one of the inevitable steps in the cleaning process is that the robot will have to return to the base station to either empty itself so that it can keep going or to refill water if it's mopping. Because it can only hold so much on board, well, eventually it's going to have to go back to the station. Not really a big deal, but it does happen all the time. So what Yeedi is doing here is that in the time it goes back to the station to do that regular maintenance in its cleaning cycle, well, in that time, it does a super fast charge of the robot. This is using gallium nitride technology in the charging system. And so in 3 minutes, you are back up and running. And what this means is that you don't ever have to wait for the battery to recharge a full cycle like you normally would in many of these other products. And that means a just faster and more efficient cleaning cycle, one that is finished when it is actually done rather than because the battery is out of charge. And I know in my house, for example, that has certainly happened where I see the robot is back at the base station and I'm like, well, it looks like it only did half the floor. Turns out it ran out of battery. That is a common issue, but this solves it. But it also takes longevity into account because fast charging like this is not great for the battery hardware, but when it actually is finished with its task and it goes back to the base station for good, well, then it will revert to a more normal charging cycle because time is not really an issue there. It's more so in those times when it's trying to really get the task done, it can fast charge and actually do it. Now, like I said, a lot of the other features that are in this robot vacuum, we've seen before in various shape or form, but Yeedi is doing it at the top of its class. It has pretty much everything you would want. The robot has smart navigation, it has a strong vacuum, it has a full mopping system, everything you need for it to give you a good clean. When you flip this robot over, you can see all of its hardware. And one of the main things here is that it has a roller brush for its mop instead of a disc brush. You can see the difference here between the two types of system. And this is the OZMO Roller 2.0 system. And basically this is a self-washing mop head. And so it gives you what should be the best clean possible. This whole system gives you an excellent clean for a few different reasons. First is that this is able to reach a lot of surface area because it's a roller. It kind of gets the whole floor floor. And it also has TruEdge 3.0 technology, so it can actually extend that roller out so it can get into the edges of baseboards or corners, and it does a great job with that. And I think the best part with this is that it is self-washing. And what that means is that as it spins, it gets dirty, collects dirt from your floor, but then it is able to scrape that dirty water off and collect it. And then it uses fresh water to then re-wet the roller mop so that it can clean, and that cycle continues. So you're getting clean water that is actually cleaning your floor rather than just spreading everything around. And plus there's also a detergent you can use if you want to clean your floors that way. And it has 16 times more mopping pressure, which pressure is important for scrubbing, than the leading robot vacuum out there. So from a mopping perspective, like I said, top of its class. It does a great job. Now on the vacuum side, which is one of the features I use most often, I only mop every once in a while, but vacuuming I do on a very routine schedule, and it really helps keep the house feeling clean. This vacuum is capable of 19,500 pascals of suction. In fact, it has 38 CFM of airflow, which is a ton. And so basically what that means is it's able to pick up tons and tons of debris. And you can see here, it picks it up. It's got brushes to get into corners, which is great. And what's great is that the brushes that it uses to kind of sweep everything up, they are anti-tangle. Not only the roller brush on the bottom, which is anti-tangle, this has Zero Tangle 3.0 technology, but the side brush as well is also anti-tangle. It's got this little bit of a different design you can see here. For me personally, this is where hair gets stuck very quickly, so it's a nice thing to see for sure. So on the mopping and vacuuming perspective, wherever you need this to clean, it's going to do an excellent job. But of course, in order to get there, well, that's where it needs that technology built in as well. And luckily it has all the advanced navigation features you'd want. It uses the AIVI 3D Omni approach, which basically is a fancy way of saying it has all the smarts built in. It's got sensors, it's got cameras, everything it needs to see the world around it. And so it can detect obstacles, it can detect stains and know that it needs to clean that more, and it can navigate around your home and make sure it doesn't miss a spot. Now, once it's done cleaning, this is where we get to another industry first that I have never seen before, and that's with the base station. This is the industry's first OmniCyclone station. Basically what this means is that when it empties the vacuum, it's a bagless system. These types of bagless systems we've seen in many other types of vacuums, but in a robot vacuum system like this, I've never seen one before. But I think this is great because one of the things that eventually happens is you're going to have to replace the vacuum bag. The vacuum goes around and cleans your home, empties it into the station. Eventually you gotta get rid of that dust somehow, right? Well, you throw away the bag and replace it with a new one, but you have to remember to have those on hand, and well, they cost money. Both things that can be an issue. And so because this is bagless, it just dumps it into the station here, and you just empty it and replace it, and you're ready to go. So this can save you a ton of money in the long term. We're talking like 25 bags needed for like 5 years. I'm not saying you're gonna get rich off of all these savings, but it is still something that costs money and something you have to remember to do. With this, you just don't have to. And of course, the rest of the base station has everything you'd expect. It's got a clean water tank, it's got a dirty water tank for the mopping system, it's got that detergent I was telling you about, and it can actually clean and dry the mop system when it gets back to the base station, so you don't get mildew or mold or any of those smells that you don't want. And so yeah, the S20 Infinity has a bunch of firsts in the industry. And when you're looking at robot vacuums like this, those industry firsts, well, they're harder and harder to pull off, but companies like Yeedi are doing it really well. So if you want to learn more about this or pick one up for yourself, I'll leave links down below in the description where you can get the best price possible. I talk about a lot of these robots on the channel because I use them every single day. And if you haven't picked one up yet, well, this one might be the one to get.